Hi guys, welcome to the Silver Report. Today is Wednesday, January 18th, 2017. Silver is currently trading at 1731, and gold is at 1212 and 10 cents. I wanted to get into some economic factors. Over the past 29 months, the decline in reserves, in the world's reserves of currency they're holding due to the debt crisis that is taking place through the Eurozone and throughout the world, it took place at a rate of about $42 billion a month. At this rate, by the end of 2017, international reserves, mostly US dollars, will likely decline by another $504 billion. The global silver market is set to experience a massive rise in price due to these factors. The crumbling, highly leveraged, debt-based fiat monetary system adopted by most countries, especially the world reserve currency, the dollar, will force investors into purchasing silver to protect their wealth on a global scale for the first time, because it is not only America that is experiencing this problem in hyperinflation coming due to the printing of mass amounts of money, but other countries have been forced to take on loans and debt in order to be able to, especially the Eurozone, in order to be able to get in line on a global scale with most of Europe. They needed to have equal payouts, so they took loans. They're crushing their economies, and the fiat system, which is historically almost a guarantee to crumble, is falling apart. Another big thing that people that are a little older probably still know, but 17 years right now it's been of annual silver deficits. It's totaling 1.8 billion ounces. And so what that means is they are, over the past 17 years, 1.8 billion ounces short of demand. And it suggests major hoarding among investors. Many people are piling up physical silver and holding on to it. Paper silver doesn't do for a lot of the manufacturing needs and for a lot of the demand. Most people are not confident in paper anymore, but we have deficits every year for the past 17 years. And these investors are not letting go of it. When these investors around the world, and they're crushing fiat currency systems, when especially the dollar, China, a lot of things they're not talking about, has been bleeding US dollars intentionally. We are in the middle of a currency war globally, and they are bleeding US dollars, attempting to get rid of them. There's been talk of them going on over to a gold-based system, but they have been eliminating the use of reserves of US dollars. Where do these dollars go? They return back to our own country. It is only paper. There's been this battle over the petrodollar, people trying to return US dollars to America. And because there's been so much printed, it's not just our country that we use the dollar. There's even countries in South America that only use the dollar. So these countries are no longer wanting to use this fiat currency that has been printed, so they're working it out of the system. It's not something they can just do overnight. They can't just make a law saying we're not going to use the US dollar, especially if you don't want U.S. military tanks rolling through your town capital, and a news report to go out saying you and all of your sons must surrender yourself in 48 hours. But these countries are slowly phasing it out of use. China and Russia between themselves are no longer using the dollar to sell oil. This is massive, because if these major countries that have the ability to defend not only themselves but allies who also want to align and to move away from the US dollar, they understand the benefit of this, because they would no longer need to use the dollar for trade or purchase the dollar. For example, they're holding a unit of currency that is preserving their nation's wealth, and then we at will are printing it based on our own economic factors. Therefore, their wealth is depleting, and they understand that, and they have been, over the past 29 months, the world's reserves in currency has been eliminated, $42 billion a month. So we're approaching fastly for 2017 the 2014 highs. So this is a major change. Now, for example, when these worldwide investors begin to rush into silver purchasing, to preserve their wealth, to hold on to their wealth. There will be very little actual physical silver available for purchase. Do you think they're going to go to Citibank or to JP Morgan and purchase paper for nation's wealth, for very wealthy people? People with mass amounts of money? No, they're going to want actual bullion to hold in their safes, in their secure rooms, in their vaults. And so they're not going to settle for paper. They're not going to settle for an IOU from some of these massive corrupt banks that have been caught rigging the metal's price. Why would you purchase paper from them for the price of silver when there isn't that much silver in existence? But the great thing for now, while you have this time to get into the metals market, especially silver, when these investors begin to rush into silver purchasing, there will be very little actual physical silver available for purchase. This will force to the light the paper metal suppression scandal, and it will force the world's attention to understand that there is not actually that much metal compared to the amount of papers and derivatives that have been printed, suggesting that there is. It will cause a panic to acquire silver, which would be great for metal investors. It'll be great if you're in right now at the low price of only $17.31, but there will be a panic. People will be desperate to get their hands anyway to preserve their wealth from depletion, from the cracking of these monetary systems. After silver was taken out of coins in the 1970s, in the 1980s, there was a major panic. Silver investors were rushing to the market, trying to acquire as much as they can. In the 1980s, silver price was capped by the Federal Reserve due to the extreme demand to supply ratio, causing many investors to dump silver back onto the market. Again, there was a 320 million ounce surplus. But this deficit during those times, they knew that the world's silver production, due to industrial use, due to, as a wealth preserver, as people's understanding that it's real money in times of distress, they understood that the world cannot produce this much silver. So they even enacted the Federal Reserve to go in to stop the bleeding, to protect the US dollar at that time, because it is a currency crisis. When people begin to realize that this is actual money in comparative, and that the dollar is not backed by gold, but it is only a unit of currency, like the euro, like the yen. If you look on a global scale, when you walk into your stores, you use dollars, you use the euro. When you look on a global scale, it's just a unit of currency, something that is said to have a value. When you have your silver or gold, it's something that is actual money, actual value used all over the world. And when people begin to rely on it as a unit of currency, if the people were to begin to trade, right now it's illegal, but if they were to begin to trade and to do business in gold or silver again, it would be a direct attack on the dollar. Money moving into the system is almost an act of war against the dollar, if you will. And they understand this. This is why they enacted suppression back then, because they knew that the world cannot take the high amount of demand for such a metal. So this scandal is about to come to light. These currencies are crashing worldwide, including many in the Eurozone. We see how many votes of these people trying to escape the euro, trying to escape globalization. We see a worldwide push, elected officials all over these countries trying to push and break out of the euro. If you won't let us out, we will find someone who will. And we see that this is all coming to light. And now is the time to take steps. If you want to get in before this panic to acquire this metal, when you will have in your possession actual physical metal that no one can take, as long as you guard it, it will become extremely valuable, extremely high in demand. It will become a seller's market as opposed to the buyer's market. All right, guys, well, thank you for joining me. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe, like the videos. If you like them, share, of course, get the word out. We need to wake the world up to the Federal Reserve dollar scam. Make sure to subscribe. There'll be more content like this coming out. And thank you guys again for stopping by.